So the kickers kick them out, and we're ready to kick off on new turf here in Commonwealth Stadium. Grant Shaw gets it underway. Thursday night football from Edmonton. Jock Sanders makes one miss. Sanders makes another. He's wrapped up and brought down near the 25-yard line, and 40-year-old Henry Burris has not played like a 40-year-old so far this season.
Henry Burris has had a little bit of help offensively. Big game last week for Brad Sinopoli. Career high 9 catches, 99 yards. Siobhan Walker, that rushing yards per game so far this season, about 30 yards per game above his career average. Facing a great D-line here with Edmonton tonight. John Gott, the center, is going to have to be the anchor, and plenty of pressure on the 2 tackles, Colin Kelly and Sir Vincent Rogers.
No changes offensively for Burris and company. The wins, 2 in a row. One over Montreal to open the season on the road, and then last week against the BC Lions. They've given up 16 points in each game. Here's the D for the Edmonton Eskimos, led by that front 7.
Yeah, absolutely. And the focus tonight on the guys in the front 4. Armando Sewell in the middle, career high 9 sacks a year ago, among the top D tackles in the league. Odell Willis and a healthy Marcus Howard, as potent a DN combination as you'll find in the Canadian Football League.
What led the Red Blacks to victory against BC was this situation. Second down conversions. They've been very good in this spot early in the season, and they do it again. And once again, it's Brad Sinopoli coming off a 9-catch performance last week against BC for 99 yards. Sinopoli returning to Ottawa, into Ontario, his home province, and had a great game, and he starts it off with this second down clutch catch. He had 5 second down catches last week.
Yeah, and fantastic outing for Brad Sinopoli in his first home game with the Red Blacks. Had never had more than 5 catches in a game prior to this season.
First and 10 from the 42-yard line. 16-yard pickup. Siobhan Walker's in the backfield with Burris in the shotgun. Walker's been a big factor. Little stutter step. Only gets a couple yards. Marcus Howard and Armando Sewell bringing him down.
Well, and Siobhan Walker, we looked at those yards per carry, certainly getting more opportunities to carry the football under offensive coordinator Jason Moss's system. Part of that has to do with the fact that this is a team playing with fourth quarter leads for the first time really in their existence. But he's going to have some open field to work with, as there's other speed out there on the field, and guys like Price and Williams who are really going to be able to spread out those defenses.
There's Jason Moss, returns to Edmonton, now the offensive coordinator with the Red Blacks. Here's the rush. Burris is in trouble. Escapes. Tosses it off to Walker. Cuts back, and Siobhan Walker has another first down. Back-to-back second down conversions last week. 56% for the Ottawa Red Blacks, who last year operated at 39.
Well, a nice job here by Henry Burris as the pocket collapsed on him a little bit. But Hank, with that veteran poise, steps up, keeps the eyes downfield, manages to find Siobhan Walker. And then his shifty running back manages to elude a couple of tacklers to pick up 12 yards and a first down.
Right near the midfield stripe. Red Blacks driving early on here. Deep drop, Burris. Long throw, sideline. Trying to run under it through speedy Mo Price. We talked with Henry Burris and the Red Blacks yesterday about the speed, the fleet-footed receivers this team has got this off-season. They make a pretty good relay team.
Yeah, well, they figure they've got 3/4 of it nailed down with guys like Mo Price, Chris Williams, and Siobhan Walker out of the backfield. They hadn't decided yet who's running that fourth leg.
It's not Henry.
No, Henry thought he might limit them a little bit, but certainly the speed, a big part of the off-season building plan of this team. They wanted to strike a little bit of fear into opponents this time around.
Who will they go to this time on second down? Sinopoli, top of your screen. He goes left this time. And Jock Sanders, recently picked up. Jock Sanders, who comes to the Ottawa Red Blacks with 2 Grey Cup rings. Saskatchewan 2013, Calgary 2014, released. Ottawa picks him up.
Yeah, Ottawa may be looking at Jock Sanders as more than just a fill-in in that backfield, but perhaps something of a good luck charm. Sanders, a guy who can play running back, can play slot, and obviously help out in the kick return game as well. He'll primarily return kickoffs, with Chris Williams doing punt return duty.
3 for 3 on second down conversion. 16-yard pickup down inside the 40. Burris protection again, going deep this time. End zone, and lunging for it, Greg Ellingson. wanted an interference call, will not get it. Greg Ellingson, who Henry Burris yesterday, when asked what Ellingson brings, he says he's the most underrated receiver in the CFL.
Yeah, Greg Ellingson got off to a great start to his CFL career. Back in 2013, playing with Henry Burris and the Hamilton Tiger Cats, was among the league's leading receivers when he went down with an injury that essentially caused him to miss about the last third of the year. But when he became available as a free agent this offseason, Henry Burris was very quickly in contact with general manager Marcel Desjardins, suggesting they take a look at number 82.
They are challenging that possible interference call downfield. Now, Aaron Grimes and Ellingson were tangled up. Rick Campbell wants to challenge interference downfield.
Ottawa is challenging the previous play for defensive pass interference. This will be reviewed.
There's Al Bradbury. CFL command takes it away now, and they'll look at this. What did you think?
Well, there's no question that there's contact as the ball arrives, but as you look at Aaron Grimes, the right arm is the one thing that'll be in question. I think any contact perhaps with the legs would be considered incidental. That right arm reached across a little bit, but I'm not convinced that it's enough to be ruled interference on a ball in the air, and he's trying to play the football.
That replay shows really not much contact, arm to body. You can see the feet getting tangled up.
Yeah, I mean, Aaron Grimes is in position. He's located the football. This isn't like a blind wave at the football. He's located the football. He's trying to play the ball in the air, same as Greg Ellingson.
For those of you watching on ESPN in the United States, you can challenge pass interference and contact in the Canadian Football League. 6 challenges, 3 successful. Here's the verdict.
After review, the ruling on the field is confirmed. This is just an incomplete pass.
Unsuccessful challenge for Rick Campbell, who comes back to the house that really his dad helped build. Hugh, who was a legend here, coach, general manager, and president of the Eskimos.
Yeah, as you think of the Edmonton Eskimo dynasty teams that began in the late 70s, Hugh Campbell, the architect of that. Of course, Coach Warren Moon. The two of them made their way to the NFL together with the Houston Oilers.
So 2nd down and 10 again. Can the Red Blacks keep this going? They decide to hand it off to Walker. Nice tackle, stuffed up the middle, so no 2nd down conversion this time. Underneath the pile. Siobhan Walker comes up, and the field goal unit will come out. Here's Delbert Alvarado. He's been around the Canadian Football League, just hasn't caught on with the team. Has been to a couple of camps, a couple of teams. Born in the Honduras, grew up in Florida, soccer player. 3 of 4 so far as a Red Black. This will come from the 43 with the breeze. Kick is up, and it is off the goalpost, and that means nothing. No 3 points, no single point. Commonwealth Stadium. 33 degrees Celsius, 91 degrees Fahrenheit. And there's Chad Simpson making a couple of tacklers miss. Antoine Pruneau eventually brings him down. A pickup of 3.
Well, Matt Nichols, of course, at quarterback, and these are some of the guys that are going to have to help him out. Tony Washington makes his 38th career start. He's at left tackle, protecting that blind side of Darius Bowman. Of course, the go-to receiver, 7 games of 100-plus yards. The biggest one came against Ottawa, 140 yards, 363 days ago. Keep an eye on Chad Simpson, who's in the backfield for John White, who's done for the year.
Matt Nichols' first throwing attempt, and he's thrown away. It was almost sacked. Matt Nichols has been the hard luck guy here for the Eskimos. Not your typical backup. 6 seasons here behind Mike Riley. Before also Ricky Ray when Ray was here. Nichols just has never been able to become the starter because of injury and Mike Riley.
Yeah, well, Mike Riley took hold of that job after being signed as a free agent. The guys talked about it off the top of the show back in the studio. Competition for that job between Nichols and Riley. Nichols was injured. Riley had a fantastic season, and the Eskimos haven't looked back.
What a kick from Bradshaw. Look out here, though. There goes Chris Williams. He has the edge. Williams, big return. In his return to the Canadian Football League, the former Ticat has a return of 21. Henry Burris, great season. The REDBLACKS, though, haven't had good starts to ball games, really, since last year and this year. Threading the needle for Sinopoli, another reception as Henry Burris marches closer to another milestone. Next signpost, 56,000, which he could get tonight.
And there you see Henry Burris trailing only Anthony Calvillo and Damon Allen, all time among CFL passers.
Second down and 4 for Burris, just inside Edmonton territory. Midway through the first quarter here in Edmonton, week 3 in the CFL. Burris now has to escape. Will he? Chucks it away. It's picked off. And it's a pick 6 for newcomer John Ocho. 55 yards. Touchdown on one that Henry Burris would love to have back.
We say it all the time, Rod. Pressure forces mistakes. Even with a veteran quarterback like Henry Burris, he's trying to throw this one away as Willie Jefferson, number 99, was hot on his tail. Burris just trying to get rid of it before he goes down, and Ojo makes a nice break on the ball. And away he goes.
John Ojo is quickly becoming a fan favorite here. He's already had a fumble recovery. Game 1, the loss to Toronto, and now a pick 6. Joining the ball-hawking Eskimo defense. And the 32-yard point after from Grant Shaw is good. Henry Burris has 4 touchdown passes this year, but now 5 interceptions.
He's rolling to his right. The wide receiver, Mo Price, is about to break upfield down the sideline as his scramble rules tell him to do. He's unable to readjust and maybe come back and try and break that one up, giving the defender an advantage in that race to the ball.
Huge kick from Grant Shaw. It'll be a touchback, no point. Jock Sanders did not touch the football. Remains 7-0 Eskimos on a blemish early on from Henry Burris.
Combination of a good opening drive to start as the REDBLACKS ate up over 5 minutes, which has kind of been their modus operandi here in the early part of the season. They've dominated in terms of time of possession in the early part of this season, but didn't score any points on that opening drive despite getting into field goal range, and now obviously coughing up that pick 6. They'll look to get things turned around here in a hurry.
And as you just saw, have not scored in first quarters in their 2 games this year. Last year, Dwayne, they only averaged 4.9 points per first quarter, so slow starters. It's a bad trend. Burris in trouble again. Down he goes. First sack of the ball game. There are the boys of summer salting. Odell Willis, Eddie Steele. Eddie Steele, the former Manitoba Bison, all over Henry Burris.
Eddie Steele in there at defensive tackle. Part of that rotation along with Don Oramacion, who's in beside him. You knew it was going to be the battle between this Ottawa offensive line and the Edmonton defensive line. Ottawa's got to try and take control of that a little bit as they're losing that battle right now.
Burris throws to Chris Williams on 2nd and long, and they're going to have to boot it away. Again, this was a very stout Edmonton defense last season. Led the CFL in picks with 21. They were 2nd in sacks, and when they celebrate, they normally flip out like you just saw. We may see a few more of those somersaults here tonight. Back to return for the Eskimos is newcomer Sky Dawson out of TCU. Anthony Alix punts it away. Dawson finding a seam. Sky Dawson high stepping. Dawson in his first game in the Canadian Football League had a fumble and a couple of benign returns, but that was a good one, a 23-yarder, and Matt Nichols back at it.
And Matt Nichols himself trying to shake that injury bug. Of course, that very serious ankle injury in the playoffs back in 2012. Managed to get himself back from that in time for the start of the 2013 season, but then tore an ACL in the preseason that cost him the entire year.
Sharp tossing over to Darius Bowman. A penalty flag is down. Chatting with Darius Bowman, coming off a monster season last year, led the CFL in receiving. Al Bradbury with the call here. Looks like it's going against Ottawa.
Illegal contact on a receiver. Ottawa, number 14. 10-yard penalty. First down.
Again, the new rule in the Canadian Football League. You can bump or jam a receiver the first 5 yards, but you have to lay off after that.
And Abdul Kanay is in there, the halfback spot. And you see hanging on just a split second too long. It's zero tolerance in terms of that no contact rule.
There he is again. Darius Bowman. Matt Nichols talked yesterday about how he has a chip on his shoulder pad a little bit, and a guy who wants to get the ball out quickly. And so far on this drive, you're seeing that quick release.
Yeah, absolutely. He's going to be a little bit different than Mike Riley. You're not going to get the scrambling. He's not going to contribute as much to the Eskimos' ground game as Mike Riley does. May not be as aggressive, but as you said, it's going to be the quick reads, the ball out a little bit more quickly, maybe slightly more conservative, but also probably a higher percentage passing game.
First time in the score zone all season in their second game here. Another penalty flag, and it looks like contact again down inside the 10-yard line.
Well, Kendall Lawrence from that slot position, the middle linebacker Malik Jackson was trying to cover him. Got tangled up with the receiver and pulled him down.
Illegal contact on a receiver. Ottawa, number 10. 10-yard penalty. First down.
Jackson with the jam, knocking the receiver, Lawrence right off his feet. But again, once you hit that 5-yard mark, hands off.
Malik Jackson coming back after injury-plagued year last year. Did not play. Filling in for Travis Brown at linebacker. Nichols slinging it out, and Chad Simpson cannot run underneath it. Watched by Kalanji Kashama. Shama into the game. No Justin Capicotti for the Red Blacks here this week.
And some of the keys for the Red Blacks are going to be these second-year defensive backs, particularly the guys on the inside dealing with the likes of Darius Bowman. You've got Gavins, Thompson, and Kanay occupying the two halfback spots. Thompson, who led the team with 4 picks last year, has moved to free safety this year.
Nichols goes end zone, touchdown, Darius Bowman. His first of 2015. After a sensational 2014. What a drive engineered by Matt Nichols.
Yeah, Matt Nichols gaining a little bit of confidence here, settling in. There it is, quick drop, ball's on its way to a guy who dominated the league's receiving charts last season.
Well, happy birthday to Darius Bowman. He's going to be 30 tomorrow. A nice way to celebrate so far here tonight. Bowman, who had 6 majors last year, his first of the season, 5 plays, 42 yards. Grant Shaw out for the 32-yard point after, which at one time was automatic. Single that came from 12 yards, moving it back this year to 32. Shaw, this one's going to be close, and they say it's good. And the Eskimos have stormed out. Far. Great start for Edmonton, 14-zip, under 4 to play in the opening quarter. Now the Red Blacks looking to answer here. They've got to get through this first quarter conundrum that they've been going through ever since they came back into the league. Especially this season, they've got to come out of the gate a little faster. Down to 14, Henry Burris will huddle up.
And I'll be interested to see on this possession if Jason Moss looks perhaps a little bit more to that run game or the screen draw type game as well. They're having a tough time with the pass rush right now, and you don't want guys like Marcus Howard, Odell Willis, Almondo Sewell. We just saw Eddie Steele with the sack. We don't want those guys getting in a rhythm rushing the passer. You got to mix it up.
Those are 4 giants down there. There's a fake. Sanders going backwards. Now comes the other way. Good idea. Looked like a good play, but was read perfectly by the Eskimos. And it was read perfectly by middle linebacker J.C. Sherritt. He is the man in the middle. Rennie Curran not here anymore. J.C. Sherritt takes over from where he once was, an absolute all-star.
But I like the play call, mixing things up a little, misdirection to try and slow down those upfield rushers.
2nd and 10. Three-man rush this time. High toss, and unable to run under it is Chris Williams. So again, a flag now. It's in the backfield, and it looks like it's
holding
against Ottawa. It's a hold.
Number 67. Call is declined. 3rd down.
A terrible start for the Red Blacks here. We're going to have to kick it back once again to the Eskimos.
And it goes back to that battle at the line of scrimmage, that holding call going against Colin Kelly as Willie Jefferson, part of that D-end rotation. Guy who chipped in 4 sacks last season in the absence of Marcus Howard, now becomes the 3rd defensive end. He beat Kelly with an inside rush, forced the tackle into a holding situation.
Anthony Alex puts his right foot into it, a wobbler to Sky Dawson. 39-yard boot. Downfield quickly, and this is going to be a big penalty. Looks like a horse collar or face mask as the Red Blacks converged. But this will move the ball further downfield for the Eskimos.
Major foul. Horse collar tackle. Ottawa number 10. 15 yards at the end of play. 1st down.
Malik Jackson penalized. Let's go down to the sideline. Joining us tonight is Lee Jones. Lee?
Matt Nichols heading back out onto the field. He's the kind of guy that believes things happen for a reason, but he kind of questioned that after that preseason injury in 2013, where he had a season-ending injury when he was number 1 on the depth chart. He went back home and talked to his wife and actually started talking about making a family. And just a month later on, he had his daughter, basically was ready to go. Elliot was, Allie, his wife, was pregnant with Elliot, and he was there for the entire pregnancy. He was there for when she was born, and he admits he wouldn't have been there if he was playing football. So once again, the belief of things happen for a reason came to him, and that's what he believes happens right now, replacing Mike Riley.
Well, thank you, Lee. So far, so good for Matt Nichols. Again, dislocated ankle and then a knee injury, derailing his hopes for so long. And maybe this is the time that opportunity knocks and will knock down the door. That pass elicits a flag on the far side, looking for Chad Simpson in the backfield. Let's see what the call is here.
The Eskimos are trying to set up the screen here. The D tackle, Zach Evans, sniffed it out.
Pass interference. Ottawa, number 92. This is a 10-yard penalty with an automatic 1st down.
On 2nd down, that is a costly penalty. Penalties hurt the Red Blacks last week, even though they won the game. And 15-yarder Zach Evans with the interference call.
Yeah, and it's great recognition by Zach Evans to sniff out what's going on as the guard is fighting to get off him. He sees Chad Simpson trying to release. There's too much contact.
Bowman again, this time into the Eskimo bench. So injured Eskimo on the field as well, a 7-yard pickup. Red Blacks D's so far not being able to hold off these Eskimos. Ottawa's defense last year, last in the Canadian Football League in most categories.
Greg White back for his 2nd stint with the Edmonton Eskimos, signing as a free agent from Hamilton. He'll be replaced at guard by the Eskimos' 1st-round draft choice out of Laval, Big Danny Grew.
Grew, who played in 4 Vanier Cup games while in Laval, won 3 times. White, who is back in the lineup in Edmonton, missed the 1st game, so this is his 1st game of the year, and let's see what happens to him.
Yeah, he's pulling from that left guard spot, and just a helmet-to-helmet shot as he collides with Marlon Smith. White goes down.
So Danny Grew of Gatineau, Quebec, pressed into action. Actually, another lineman, backup lineman David Beard, was another draft pick, also on the Eskimo roster.
Well, Danny Grew is a guy who was talked about as a potential #1 overall pick, being from Gatineau, which is in the Ottawa area, considered one of the more CFL ready linemen, having come through that Laval program. A mature guy at 25 years old, playing his Cégep football before moving on to the CIS. Ottawa opted to go with Alex Mateus, an Ottawa boy, the center from the University of Connecticut. With their first overall pick, Grew slipped down to the Eskimos, who couldn't have been happier as they waited near the end of that first round.
Being very cautious here as Voigt is still down. And has not moved very much since that head-to-head contact, helmet-to-helmet contact. Speaking of that #1 pick, there he is, Alex Mateus, #1 overall to the Ottawa REDBLACKS.
Mateus, a guy who started his college career at Penn State, transferred to UConn, became a starter there, moved inside. Originally recruited as a tackle, but moved inside to play center. Team captain in his senior year for the Huskies.
Concerned players on their knees watching will step aside as they continue to attend to Greg Voigt, injured Eskimo on the field. Over to the Eskimos locker room. So this drive will continue here with a minute to go. First quarter. Look out, Calvin McCarty rumbling. Big first down. He's a guy who doesn't get many carries, but when he does, he is tough to bring down.
Yeah, the fullback Calvin McCarty used to be a much bigger part of this Edmonton Eskimo offense, but has evolved from less of a running back, more of a fullback over the last few years as they go to no huddle set here.
20-yard pickup. Now they give it off to Darius Bowman in this set again. And in at quarterback is Jordan Lynch out of Northern Illinois, a former Heisman finalist, a guy who ran the ball a couple times in game 1.
Timeout, Edmonton.
Well, Jordan Lynch fills the Pat White role, Eskimos #3 QB who retired a year ago. You know, as you see Greg Voigt heading for the dressing room, a lot of concerns for the Eskimos at the guard position. They lost Matt O'Donnell during the offseason as he's headed back for another shot at the National Football League. Simeon Rotier, their starting left guard last season, went down with an injury. He's on the 6-game injured list. A couple of big losses there in the interior of their offensive line, and now another veteran down in Greg Voigt.
2nd and 12. Matt Nichols back in, looking end zone, and there's a penalty flag as Brandon McDonald was going along for a ride with Darius Bowman.
Yeah, Brandon McDonald just at the last minute had a little clutch and grab the bottom of the jersey of Darius Bowman with that ball in the air.
Pass interference, Ottawa, #22. Foul happened in the goal. Ball will be placed on the 1-yard line. First down. Wait.
Down to the goal line. A chance to make it 21-0 here. Fumble football. Did Ottawa get it back? It looks like Nichols was able to pounce. It's going to be 2nd down here as the clock ticks down on a first quarter dominated by the Eskimos defensively and offensively.
Eskimos lucky to recover this one. Nichols never really had it cleanly. Hit him in the hands on the snap from Sorensen. Thought we might see Jordan Lynch in this situation.
Twin backs again. Nichols now has to throw it. Jump ball, and is it? Almost caught. Well, look at that. They were going for Eddie Steele of all people. A tight end set in the end zone.
On a real gamble here, stealing the bottom right corner here.
The Red Blacks stuff them here. Lynch now will take it left side and score. His first CFL touchdown. A guy who scored a lot of touchdowns at Northern Illinois. A Heisman finalist behind Jameis Winston a few years ago has a souvenir. Jordan Lynch makes it 20-0. The convert to come to make it 21.
Everybody anticipating that quarterback sneak right in behind the center guard. Lynch shuffles down the line to find a soft spot. Good heads-up play from the quarterback. Well, we appreciate the drama from the Eskimos, but right in there just threw that on first down.
Point. Lynch, who can run the football. In fact, he went to the Chicago Bears camp a few years ago, played in a preseason game. They actually used him at running back. Guy can move his feet. So the 32-yarder from Shaw again. And this one is hooked. And a second convert missed this season from Grant Shaw. You're going to see a few of those singles missed this year. 32 yards out, that changes the game completely, but the Eskimos do have a 20-0 lead.
And here you see it, the entire defense pinches down towards those A gaps, anticipating that on third down it's just going to be a straight ahead quarterback sneak. But Lynch keeps it tight to the line and just slips around the end. Goes in essentially untouched.
Talk about the point after so far in the CFL this season, which again is almost like 90%. Kickers have operated now 27 out of 33. So it's no longer a gimme. The Eskimos right now tanking it to the Red Blacks, who have to find an answer. And again, 3 straight games, the Ottawa Red Blacks have not scored a point in the first quarter. Now keep in mind, they've won the previous 2, but they haven't been behind like this. As Jock Sanders tries to ignite them, but downfield quickly to make the tackle is Dion Lacey.
Well, Lacey, the most dominant special teams cover guy in the CFL a year ago.
29 special teams tackles for Lacey as he drops Sanders at the 20. Well, the Red Blacks had an impressive opening drive. Went down and had a field goal, hit the goal post, which resulted in no points. Ate up 5 minutes and 14 seconds. And since that time, they've done nothing.
And as they fall farther behind, there becomes that urgency to pass the football to try and get back in the game. Obvious passing situations play right into the Eskimos' favor defensively.
Jason Moss, some good years here in Edmonton. Couple of Grey Cup wins. Started, then relieved Ricky Ray, of course. Now a coach. Spent time in Toronto, now with Ottawa. Flags fly. Still has the CFL record for consecutive completions.
Procedure. Ottawa, number 65. 5-yard penalty, remains second down.
22 straight completions for Jason Moss. Still stands in the record books while with the Eskimos. Back in 2004. Second and 15. Penalties right now really hurting the Red Blacks too. 3-man rush this time. Here comes Odell Willis. There goes the football. Burris downfield. Trying to go for it all there. Chris Williams covered step for step. Third straight 2-and-out, Dwayne, for the Ottawa Red Blacks.
And Chris Williams is just looking to use the wheels and get downfield on the outside, but you'll see the halfback, Marcel Young, number 23, picks him up deep, runs with him stride for stride. Former Hamilton Tiger Cats doing battle there.
Young playing his first game, did not play in the opener in Fort McMurray. So Anthony Aleeks, again, Eskimos could get some good field position here. Lets it fly for Sky. Dawson, a 40-yard kick. The Eskimos will scrimmage inside the Ottawa 40. Matt Nichols back at his office in a moment.
Suffering damage to his posterior cruciate ligament.
Now some running room here for Chad Simpson. Penalty flags are down. Simpson, a big gain here, straight arms. We'll have to see what the call is here. I wonder if this is coming back. 22-yard gain as the Eskimos continue to run all over this Red Black team that started the season so impressively in their first 2 starts. They need a spark here in a hurry.
Holding, Edmonton, number 50. 10-yard penalty, remains first down.
We had a good long chat with Mike Riley before the game, and you know, we asked him what the time frame is. He says it's about 10 to 12 weeks. He says he feels pretty good right now. Says it's the first time, though, he's really ever been hurt. First knee injury that he's ever really had.
Yeah, Mike Riley is...
He's had concussion problems before and hand problems.
Yeah, but I mean, one of those guys who has been fortunate for the most part in his career to avoid injury. And he talked about the irony of it, as everyone says, the way he plays, running and diving, attacking the line of scrimmage was going to get him hurt, but he gets hurt in the pocket.
His back up, back at it. Look at this, Kendall Lawrence made Abdul Kanay miss. And even though Mike Riley's not playing right now, Matt Nichols says Mike Riley is still a big part of this team.
Mike and I studied together. Even last night I went over to his house and we went through the entire playbook, the entire game plan for this week, and watched some film. And you know, he's helping me try and be successful. I think we're two very selfless people that we want this team to win. Mike's helping me prepare and talking me through the way he thinks about certain plays that might help me out. So you know, we have a great relationship.
I don't know if Mike Riley and Matt Nichols worked on this play, but it was all Nate Cohorn as he bounced off like Pinball Clemens used to do in the Canadian Football League and made something out of nothing. A 28-yard gain for Cohorn.
Yeah, you got to love Nate Cohorn. It's just always a workmanlike effort on the outside. Real good season for the Edmonton Eskimos last year. Terrific run after the catch there after that collision coming across the middle.
Played his college ball down south of Calgary, of course. Nichols goes for the end zone, looking for Corey Watson, the former Blue Bomber. Keep in mind, this is also an Edmonton team. Not only did you mention John White, that they are missing for the season with the ruptured Achilles. Of course, Riley with a knee injury, but Chamaud Chambers coming back from a knee injury, and also Simeon Rotier not in the lineup. So they're missing some key personnel here.
Yeah, on that offensive side of the ball, it changes the picture a little bit. Certainly, and it'll be interesting to see how teams defend Darius Bowman.
2 for 2 in the score zone. Simpson now down near the 4, getting some help from his Hoggies up front. Down near the goal line, and Chad Simpson has a 14-yard gain, and once again the Eskimos are sniffing the goal line.
Yeah, Simpson's just going to slip into screen position. Nice kick out there from Danny Grew, but Simpson doing most of the work on his own on that one, fighting through a mob of, we call them wannabe tacklers.
The guy replacing John White, of course. Now Nichols tosses it, touchdown, Edmonton. Kendall Lawrence has his first of the season. And right now, it is a rout for the Edmonton Eskimos, and we're not even at halftime.
And Matt Nichols talked about wanting to silence the doubters. Prove that he can be a starting quarterback in the Canadian Football League. I don't hear a lot of complaints about the job number 16 has done right now. Just a free release from the backfield for Lawrence, quick hitter. Nichols on the mark.
Matt Nichols.
Hey, yo, free man
Another touchdown connection here. A guy from the Eastern Washington pipeline of quarterbacks. Kendall Lawrence. Boy, he's been a nomad, has played all over the world in Italy. Played at Mizzou, another miss for Grant Shaw on the point after. Those are the...
We'll get revoked.
A lot of shout-outs there, but that's what happens when you get your first of the season for Kendall Lawrence. Jock Sanders. This Eskimo team off the bye week has come out ferociously. Henry Burris comes back out. Let's go down to Lee.
During that last Eskimos offensive series, Henry Burris sat down with the offensive line and Chevy Walker and told them that this start so far is on him. He calmly told them they need to get back to the way they played the last few weeks, and told each one of them eye to eye that he was going to be better for them, and just simply chip away, and we'll get close to them and see what we can do in the second half.
Now Henry Burris, 50% passing on the season, came in at 70%. Nowhere near that tonight. Looked like an offside call coming here. The Eskimos looked like they jumped. But 26-0. Not even in the Red Blacks' worst nightmare did they anticipate this. And you can go back to that pick
Offside.
six. It changed the game completely.
Number 41, 5-yard penalty, remains first down.
Yeah, no question. Any kind of turnover, but particularly one that goes for a score. A huge momentum-shifting play.
Eskimos took off from there. It was only 7-0, but Red Blacks have been absolutely muted. 1st and 5. Some communication issues here. They reset the play. Chevy Walker lines up as a wide receiver. They go over the top to Sinopoli, who will get the first down. And maybe that's the key too, is to just try to get some momentum and a drive here. Get on the board, get some points. Still plenty of time left. 9:08 to go before halftime.
Well, this is the thing you have to remember, is not trying to imagine that you're going to get 26, 28 points all at once or in a matter of 4 plays. There is a ton of football left to be played here. Patience is important for the Red Blacks in their approach.
Fake hitch screen, and they pass it off. That was a shovel pass. It's incomplete for Siobhan Walker. The Red Blacks talked about becoming a better team this year after their 2-16 season last year via the big play. We've seen that in the first 2 games. They may have had more big plays in the first 2 games than they had the entire second half of last season. But tonight, they aren't getting any plays going, with the exception of that first drive.
Yeah, no question. I think it's important to remember, though, as much as they have big play capability, they haven't necessarily relied on the big play through the first couple games. They don't want to put themselves in a situation of relying on it here.
Burris, strong arm in traffic for Price. What you're seeing as well, though, is this Eskimo defense picking up from where it left off last season as one of the top 2 Ds in the league.
Yeah, and there's often overlooked, I guess, when Mike Riley had the kind of season he had last year. John White, Adarius Bowman, some very dynamic offensive players for the Eskimos in 2014, that the defense was often overlooked. But they are a dominant group, and for me, as I've said throughout this ball game, it begins with the front 4.
4th straight punt for the Red Blacks. Sky Dawson kicking it outside now. He's got room. He's got lots of room. Sky Dawson. Will he be caught? Cuts it back. Cuts it again. And he's down inside the 30-yard line. And they may have found a new return guy here in Edmonton. Sky Dawson, 49 yards. Texas, the 24-year-old. 3rd time now the Eskimos start in Ottawa territory. Lynch in the game now, and he's sacked after a botched snap. Andrew Marshall drops him.
Well, Andrew Marshall getting an opportunity to play in that D end rotation with Justin Capicotti out of the lineup.
His first sack. Star at SFU, Simon Fraser University. So it'll be 2nd and 18. Nichols back in. Here's the rush. He is hit, knocked down, and no flag. And now the Red Blacks finally put the stops to an Eskimo drive.
A rare situation where it becomes an obvious pass down. The Red Blacks D coordinator Mark Nelson able to turn up the pressure a little bit. Secondary blitz coming from the halfback, Abdul Kane there.
Well, here comes Grant Shaw, who has missed twice from 32 yards, albeit point afters here tonight. His field goal attempt will come from the 44. And it's right down Main Street. Buries that to make it 29. Midway through the second quarter.
Shaw shaking off a couple of PAT misses. He's just saving it for the big points.
What have you gleaned watching the first couple of weeks from that 32-yard PAT now?
It makes things interesting. I think one of the keys to it is that it's going to make teams a little bit more likely to go for two, which can add some excitement. It's going to change the book, as we call it, in terms of scoring situations late in games, when to go for one, when to go for two, and so on. The scoring isn't quite as structured with 7s and 3s. You're going to have some more 6s mixed in there to throw things off a little bit.
Might have a few more iced kickers, a few more gut checks as well. Late in games, Burris gets out of the pocket and Chris Williams drops it. But back at the Saskatchewan-Toronto game, that thriller on the weekend, how that last second 1-point kick meant so much, which normally would have just been, again, a gimme. So a costly drop here for the Red Blacks. They've had nothing going since early on. Again, the rush. Now Walker trying to cut it outside, but he is dropped. Adam Konar comes by his talent quite naturally.
Yes, and a former BC Lions linebacker, Kevin Konar.
Getting some playing time tonight, a third-round pick in this year's draft. Out of the University of Calgary.
Konar started his career at the University of British Columbia, transferred to play for the UFC Dinos. And an all-star season in 2014.
Well, 2 and outs flagged the Red Blacks last season. That's their 4th already tonight. Big kick. Sky Dawson on one hop. Now shakes one and another. And got some positive yardage when it looked like it might not be enough. Well, the world's oldest tennis tournament continues tomorrow. Men's semifinal action beginning at 7 a.m. Eastern, 4 a.m. Pacific on TSN. Tonight, temperatures slowly starting to drop. It started like a blast furnace here earlier today. Shadows now all over this field here at Commonwealth Stadium. Chad Simpson up the gut. 5-yard pickup.
One of the things that has certainly benefited the Edmonton Eskimos in this football game is that they've dominated in terms of field position and their starting locations on drives. This is the deepest start in their own territory that they've had in this ball game.
Which makes this a critical second down for the Red Blacks D. Trying to get the ball back. Trying to get some points. Nichols again, though. Slant pattern for Kuhorn. Javon Johnson watching him, but there was a flag in the backfield. Now, is this a hold, or Al Bradbury will get the officials together? In week 1 against Toronto.
Illegal block, hands to the face, Edmonton, number 60. Major foul, unnecessary roughness, Ottawa, number 24. 5-yard difference and an automatic first down.
Wow, again, the Ottawa Red Blacks not helping themselves at all here. Jarrell Gavins flagged for that penalty when it was 2nd down and 5.
Right in the middle of your screen, there's Gavins taking a shot at Corey Watson.
Nichols diving as Kuhorn
One of the rare times in the early going here that Matt Nichols has been off the mark. Throwing that one low and away to Nate Kuhorn, another former Calgary Dino, number 5 overall pick back in 2011.
Second down and 10 from their 32-yard line. Protection again. There's the rush. Nichols is hit, and there's a roughing the passer to be tagged on as well as Kuhorn makes the catch. 21-yard gain. Matt Nichols got rocked as he delivered that football.
Major foul, roughing the passer. Ottawa, number 97. 15 at the end of the play, first down.
Kalanji Kashama whistled this time.
Kashama getting the start at that DN spot in place of the injured Justin Capicotti. 4th Kashama brother to play D-line here in the Canadian Football League. I guess you can forgive a little bit of rough play when you grow up in a house with 4 football playing brothers, right?
Look at this, though. This is absolutely killing the Red Blacks tonight. And look at this, right into the midst of Zach Evans. He's going to rumble all the way. I can't believe that play. There's one that you'll see on the highlight reel tonight, and maybe forever.
Because it took him that long to get down the field.
Perhaps. Matt Nichols just threw it right into the midsection of Zach Evans.
Evans on the nose at defensive tackle.
And look at him go. Look at him go. Zach Evans has a touchdown, a 65-yarder, and great play by Evans.
Yeah, he got in there right behind the pullers.
Absolute anticipation, as Kendall Lawrence was supposed to be the guy getting the football.
Well, you got to look at the speed of Antoine Pruneau, who got in the way of Kendall Lawrence, who I'm going to hazard a guess would have caught Zach Evans.
Good point. Would he have been able to bring him down, though? There's the other question.
Good run, good run.
I think I've just felt the earth move. And they're going for 2. So they finally get their spark from their defense, and Ellingson gets the 2-pointer, and Ottawa's on the board on an absolutely bizarre play.
For my wife and my baby boy Xander, I love you guys.
Well, Xander, you can watch that forever on YouTube somewhere. So Zach took this back.
Well, and this is great hands by a defensive lineman. Zach Evans slices down, he starts following the pullers, but to have that reaction, because I know a lot of defensive players and linemen in particular who wouldn't have reacted that quickly if the ball hit them to catch that football, but Zach Evans did.
Last time he probably held something that tight was a steak, or
well, I think it might have been his baby boy Xander.
Exactly. Way to go. There it is. Yeah, there's one for the big guys.
Yeah, that's a heck of a play by Zach Evans. Now, we saw a defensive touchdown got the Edmonton Eskimos going in this ball game. Maybe Zach Evans' touchdown can do the same for the Ottawa REDBLACKS.
Well, you heard them say on the sideline, we have new life. Let's see as we get close to the 3-minute warning here on the kick now. There's Dawson. And he's tripped up just past the 35-yard line. Now 29-8. Matt Nichols brings it back out, the offense, to try to make amends. 3-minute warning on the field. Well, we have seen a couple of interesting pick sixes here tonight. I'm sure they'll talk about as Nichols goes for the throw here, picked off. Javon Johnson. And there's a penalty flag at the midfield stripe. Matt Nichols came out of the 3-minute warning chucking. Will this interception be nullified?
Illegal contact on a receiver. Ottawa, number 2. 10-yard penalty. First down.
Siobhan Johnson saying, what?
I have a feeling it might have been the wrong number. To me, it looked more like it was the halfback, Abdul Kanay. He's going to end up covering a Darius Bowman coming out of the slot as Bowman makes a break. Right here to turn it upfield. There's the grab. And both DBs ended up in the same area. I think that's where Siobhan Johnson was flagged, but it's Abdul Kanay with the penalty on that one.
So 1st and 10, little counter play now out of the backfield. Kendall Lawrence wrapped up by David Hines. Leading tacklers so far for the Red Blacks into their 3rd game. Again, this is the 2nd for the Edmonton Eskimos, who look very well rested coming into this one and look a little angry, as a matter of fact, after their performance in week 1. It's been a very short week, which is a built-in excuse for the Ottawa Red Blacks. The beginning, by the way, of a home and home.
Well, the Red Blacks put a little bit of a scheduling disadvantage here, and it's something I know teams look at the start of the year, but this is 2 weeks in a row. They're playing teams that have had a bye to prepare for them.
Nichols over the top again, and it's caught. Darius Bowman down inside the 10, does it again. Magnificent. Another remarkable grab from Darius Bowman in traffic and thrown right on the money by Matt Nichols.
Darius Bowman is going to break across the middle to Sam linebacker Antoine Pruneau in coverage, and Pruneau's right in that hip pocket, makes a good break to the ball, but terrific concentration by Bowman to stay with it despite Pruneau's hand being right in there. Results in that one being a big and much needed play for the Edmonton Eskimos.
Nichols to the end zone, and Bowman and Gavins locking horns. Gavins knocking it down, but think about the drives that the Eskimos have had in this game and how many points have been put on the board via penalties that the Ottawa Red Blacks have accumulated in this first half.
That's one of the things certainly the Red Blacks will look at cleaning up in the second 30 minutes of this ball game. The number of self-inflicted wounds.
Nate Kuhorn goes to the top of the screen. There's Darius Bowman at the bottom. Nichols shotgun again, 2nd and goal. There he goes, over the middle. Touchdown! Corey Watson has his first as an Eskimo. And Matt Nichols makes up for the one that he gave away. What a first half romp here by Edmonton.
And this is one of those things you look for Matt Nichols. Quarterback making his first start of the season is how he responds to that adversity, a play gone wrong. You wondered a little bit when Siobhan Johnson had that interception, but Matt Nichols able to shake that off. Given a second chance when there was a flag on the interception call. March his Eskimos down here for another touchdown.
Well, again, Grant Shaw from the 32 has missed a couple of point afters in what has largely been, though, and here is one that just squeezes through. So make it 36-8. Corey Watson came over in a trade with Saskatchewan after he had been dealt from the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Never played with the Rough Riders, but now makes his home here in Edmonton, and his home on this play is the end zone.
And there you see a great angle to show the accuracy on that ball from Matt Nichols.
Think about Matt Nichols for a moment here, and again, that cloud that's been over top of him for the last few seasons. In his starts, 0-5 as a starter, but this is a guy who was nothing but a winner in college in Eastern Washington. The last win that he has had, though, was in college, back in 2009.
Yeah, it goes back to the second last game of his college career, playing against Northern Arizona, game that was a little bit of a track meet. Matt Nichols actually threw 5 touchdown passes, no interceptions in that game. The Eagles still lost.
Jock Sanders swallowed up once again by Dion Lacey. So all of the good that the Ottawa Red Blacks have had the last 2 weeks erased so far in this game by the Edmonton Eskimos.
Dion Lacey virtually unblockable on special teams. God, it's like he was wearing that camouflage shirt that you had on yesterday.
Good point.
Couldn't see him.
You like that, did you? You didn't see me all day, did you? Tribute to the forces. Last 2 minutes. First half, Ellingson. Tag teamed up near the first down marker, an 8-yard pickup, so it'll be 2nd down and 2. Nowhere near the first 2 weeks where the REDBLACKS gave up 16 points in each game. Each win over Montreal, then BC. They've given up 36 here. And reversing field. Brought down, though, by Dexter McCoyle. First time, really, we've had a chance to talk about Dexter McCoyle, who made the tackle on Chris Williams after a sensational season last year, number 45 for the Eskimos.
Yeah, absolutely phenomenal. Dexter McCoyle, top rookie. Out of Tulsa, former safety in college, but playing that weak side linebacker spot.
Penalty flag flying, both sides. Far side, Mo Price helmet to helmet with Aaron Grimes. Close to a first down, should move the marker if it's not brought back because of penalty. 11-yard gain. 1:12 to go before the half. Rod and the boys standing by in the studio.
Offside, Edmonton, number 41. Penalties declined. Play results, first down.
Ready to set you up for another busy week 3 weekend. Doubleheader tomorrow night. We're a Monday game coming up as well. This starts off week 3 here in Edmonton tonight, their home opener. Burris runs for cover now, tosses it to the sideline. Brad Sinopoli. This was more of the workman-like REDBLACK team that we saw in the first 2 games.
You've seen them here chipping away. Brad Sinopoli underneath, started with a short pass to Greg Ellingson. And this is realistically what they're going to have to do to get back in this football game. They may not get the time facing the Edmonton pass rush for some of the deeper routes to develop.
Burris now into traffic, almost picked off as there was a broken route downfield looking for Sinopoli. Sinopoli, one of the free agents in the offseason, able to come to Ottawa. They went out and got a few players. Mo Price, also Ellingson, and Ernest Jackson, who has been silenced so far. And Chris Williams, of course.
You see pretty good coverage on Sinopoli from Otha Foster. He's inherited that strong side linebacker position this season.
Burris fires a bullet. Patrick Watkins, who recently became a new daddy, on that far sideline, 3-time CFL All-Star. You go into that zone, quite often that ball is going to be knocked down or picked. One of the towering defenders, DBs in the Canadian Football League, cornerback Patrick Watkins. So now they're going for it here on 3rd and 10 with 48 to go before the half. And down a whole bunch. They need 10. Burris hangs in, gets 10. Once again, Sinopoli has been his go-to guy last week and this week. Already his 5th catch here tonight. Moves the chains.
Brad Sinopoli, the former quarterback. Henry Burris suggested they so often find themselves on the same page because Sinopoli, though he has moved to play the slot back position, still thinks like a quarterback in terms of the way he sees coverages.
Far side, close to a first down is Williams. Tackled by Watkins and Dexter McCoyle. 8-yard pickup. Time ticking down here. 28 seconds. One of the things that Burris loves about Brad Sinopoli, says he's unlike any other receiver that he's ever had because he comes in into a huddle thinking like a quarterback. Especially with the terminology. Will they go back to Sinopoli here on 2nd down and 2? Siobhan Walker in the backfield. Looked like offside on a bad snap. Burris recovered. Greg Ellingson may have jumped the gun. Just 15 to go before halftime.
Offside, Ottawa number 82. 5-yard penalty, remains second down.
Well, penalties have been much of the story. The negative side of the story for the Ottawa REDBLACKS.
REDBLACKS are bringing out their kick team, it looks like here. Try to put some points on the board before halftime, and they will. So Delbert Alvarado, 4 of 6 on the season, had one go off the upright earlier in this ball game.
And an interesting strategic move. Edmonton has actually put 2 guys deep in the end zone.
Ottawa.
Ottawa wants to think about this.
Typically you only see one guy back to return a potential missed field goal, but they want to make sure here at the end of the half that they get it out and don't give up an unnecessary extra point, particularly having missed some of those PATs. They don't want to give Ottawa, who already has a 2-point convert, a chance to make up any of those points.
Well, the REDBLACKS bring out their offense again. So instead of the field goal attempt, they're going to maybe even try one more shot and then could bring out Alvarado again. This is second down, remember. REDBLACK team that in week 1 was down at the half in Montreal, did not play well, and stormed back in the second. They're going to need it, that and more in the second half in Edmonton tonight. 3-man rush. Burris rolling for his life and just knuckleballs it out.
He had absolutely nothing.
You know, you can talk about the Eskimo front 7, but their D-backs and their secondary. Look at this coverage.
For much of this drive, this is what you saw. Only a 3-man rush and dropping a number of guys in coverage. Burris on the run. It looked like he might have had a receiver in the end zone, but sort of rolling away from him was going to be a difficult, if not impossible, throw for Burris over that distance.
Thomas DeMarco will hold Alvarado from the 42. The kick is up, and it is good. The former South Florida star. Wife watching him here tonight. His wife has been working down in Calgary this week. She's a famous rodeo star, barrel racer, so she's at the Stampede. Delbert Alvarado, his wife also working in Alberta, hoping that his team has a lot more than they had in the first half in this second half tonight. There she is, Fallon Taylor. Got a chance to take a day off from the Stampede. Pro barrel racer. Talk more about that in the second half here tonight. After an absolute demolition by the Edmonton Eskimos, offensively and defensively.
Very well prepared coming into this ball game. We alluded to it in the first half. 2 weeks to prepare for an Ottawa opponent that comes in here on a short week, and the Eskimos have made the most of that planning time.
This guy's done a good job tonight, returning kicks as well, giving good field position. But here's the bottom line, as Rick Campbell talked about. You heard the guys in the studio talk about, you know, the balance really statistically, where there's a real difference is in penalties, especially for the REDBLACKS, and the penalties that have led to first downs for the Edmonton Eskimos that have been able to sustain drives to get those touchdown passes.
Yeah, 16 Edmonton Eskimo first downs in the first half of this ball game, 6 of them by way of Ottawa penalties.
Matt Nichols has looked very sharp in his first start in relief of Mike Riley, who's on the shelf for a while now. Again, his only bump in the road was that Zach Evans shovel pass that went the other way for 6.
Yeah, Matt Nichols, calm, cool, collected. Delivered the ball quickly and accurately for the most part through the first half of that ball game. En route to a 36-11 Edmonton Eskimo lead.
Second down and 6. Kenny Stafford had the lone touchdown for the Eskimos in Fort McMurray. So this is only the second 2-and-out. And maybe one of the things for the Red Blacks too is a chance to give their defense a rest as well, and their defense to force a couple of 2-and-outs. That's how you get back in ball games. And this is perfect tonic right now.
That's one of the things that Ottawa has done very effectively through the early part of the season, is control the ball, control the clock, allow their defense to be fresh while wearing down the opposition D.
Bradshaw goes back. You saw that little funky formation, the end over ender for Williams. 39-yard kick. Gobbled up by the guy who had the pick 6 early on, John Ojo, downfield very quickly. Big mountain to climb here for Henry Burris.
And there at the bottom of the screen, you see one of the other big differences in the first half of this football game, the average starting point for an offensive drive. Ottawa getting hammered in terms of field position, starting on average at their own 27, while the Eskimos were typically close to midfield.
Eskimos defense, solid as they were in 2014 in this ball game. Stingy and fierce. Mo Price, that ball off target. Former Calgary Stampeder, as Henry Burris calls him, Mo Money. That one not on the money.
Well, and this is the hole you want to avoid. Second and long, you got to have positive plays on first down.
Outlaws ready.
There's the guy who had the pick 6, his first in the Canadian Football League. Ignited the Eskimos in that first half, John Ojo. 3-man rush again. Burris steps up and unable to hang on. This time that one's on Mo Price. There's a penalty flag. Interesting, the one play before, Mo Price said, hey, you got to get it to me here. That time it was in his midst.
Major foul, roughing the passer. Edmonton, number 91. 15-yard penalty, first down.
So the Red Blacks catch a break here. There's Marcus Howard back now after missing much of last season with a broken thumb.
And Howard just works around the outside on Colin Kelly, but keeps it going a little bit too long at the end of the play after Henry Burris gets rid of the ball.
Howard, one of those feared defensive linemen that was almost picked off by Odell Willis. So it's going to be second down and a throwing down again for the Red Blacks, as Odell Willis almost had the interception.
Yeah, from his defensive end spot. A good reaction here right in the throwing lane. He's got his eyes directly on the quarterback, Burris, to time that leap.
Burris has been harassed a lot, not getting as much protection as he's had in the first 2 games. It's a 3-man rush again. Walker is wallpapered. A big hit from Dexter McCoyle. There is a penalty flag. Is this roughing?
Objectionable conduct, Edmonton, number 45. 10 yards at the end of the play. This will make this a first down.
Objectionable conduct. And it was the stuff afterwards that got this penalty. And there's a head-to-head hit as well, a helmet-to-helmet. And this is what keeps the drive alive.
Yeah, we saw it. Not this particular call, but saw the penalties creating first downs for Edmonton in the first half.
Burris hangs in and fires a dart to Ellingson. Former target in Hamilton as well. Ellingson at Florida International in his college days. Big pickup in the offseason again for the Red Blacks. Ellingson played for the Hamilton Tiger Cats, of course, in the Grey Cup game. They're lost to Calgary. So the Red Blacks, a 14-yard pickup. Getting close to the score zone here, the 20-yard line. Now they bring the house. Standing in was Ellingson, but every time Henry Burris throws the football, there are about 3 or 4 green and gold jerseys nearby.
Well, it's a situation where you feel like, even though Henry Burris, there's no hitch in his motion. I mean, it's a three-step drop and the ball is out. But it's almost like the ball somehow needs to get out a split second earlier, and I'm not sure what Henry Burris can do to get it out any faster than he did.
Long drive again to open up the second half as they did in the first. 7th play now. They bring it. And Burris incomplete again. That time for Ernest Jackson. Penalty flag flies late. Will this keep this drive alive? Marcel Young in the vicinity. Ernest Jackson has been very quiet in this ball game.
Objectional conduct, Ottawa, number 7. This is a dead ball foul, 10 yards back, and it is 3rd down.
Rick Campbell won't like that from Mo Price.
What Mo Price is getting called for is lobbying for the flag at the end of the play. He was looking for an illegal contact or pass interference call against the defender working on Ernest Jackson.
So once again, Delbert Alvarado. One for 2 tonight. This from the 45, and the challenge flag. This is the second from Rick Campbell, unsuccessful earlier. And he's lobbying for pass interference again.
And it looked like there might have been contact a split second early on Ernest Jackson. Jackson in the slot here, and we'll take another look and see if the defender does in fact. There's that contact before the ball.
Ottawa is challenging the previous play for pass interference. This will be reviewed.
May have a point this time. When we come back, we'll get the decision. 36-11, the Eskimos lead on Thursday Night Football on TSN. It's cooled down now. Here is the verdict.
After review, pass interference, Edmonton. That foul took place at the 16-yard line, and they are subject to Ottawa to the 10-yard objectionable conduct, but it'll be 1st down from that plate at the 26.
So the objectionable conduct stays, but again, that was a big challenge. That's one that Rick Campbell wins. Lost one earlier, so 1-1 tonight. But most importantly, the Red Blacks go 1st and 10 now at the 26-yard line. Penalties they're undoing. Ottawa's undoing in the first half. They load it up again. Burris resets, sends out 5 receivers. Here's the rush. Burris is in trouble. Oh, what a move. Henry Burris, are you kidding me? Little shake, a little jive. Henry Burris, when he looked like he was dead in the pocket, makes a little something out of nothing.
Yeah, just a couple of quick lateral steps there. There's one to get away from Eddie Steele, and there's a great one to juke J.C. Sherritt and avoid taking a loss on the play.
Now Henry Burris would rush for 65 yards. Keep in mind, a 40-year-old quarterback doing this. Shades of what Damon Allen used to do when he played into his 40s. 2nd down and 3. Little hitch. Out to Jock Sanders. He has the 1st down. Good pickup for the Ottawa Red Blacks, getting a Jock Sanders' ability to be that scat back player.
Another guy who offers some versatility in that offense. He's going to come from the backfield. Gets a nice block from out in the slot from Ernest Jackson on this little bubble.
So now inside the red zone, the score zone. Red Blacks very efficient last week here. Burris looked to Walker, now looked over the middle. He had Ellingson wide open behind cover. Initial read was over to Walker coming out of the flat. Ellingson was wide open.
opportunity there. Just needed to get a little bit more on that one.
12th play of this drive now. 5-minute drive. Henry off one leg and inside the 10-yard line, but short of the first down. They had to get down to the 4. Well, it's Siobhan Walker. It's going to be 3rd down, and the Red Blacks are opting to go for the points.
Looked like there was a little bit of debate as to whether they were going to go or kick here on 3rd down.
You know, there's a lot of time left here. A couple of touchdowns, they're right back in it. This field goal could mean a lot, and it's certainly a chippy for Delbert Alvarado. Pours it through. 36-14 now the score. Thursday Night Football continued.
In the Canadian Football League last season, and he gives a lot of the credit to his head coach, Chris Jones.
Nichols, and what a catch! Kenny Stafford lunges and rolls over. He was alone on an island. 26-yard pickup for the former Montreal Alouette. It's traded to Edmonton for Fred Stamps.
Yeah, there's a great adjustment to the ball in the air.
Ottawa bench. 10-yard penalty from the end of the play. First down.
Yet another penalty. Another costly one for the Red Blacks. Losing their composure here tonight.
Stafford gets open. Ball's a little bit underthrown, but Stafford makes a nice adjustment to work back flat to the ball.
And the objectionable conduct, you can see the bench because they're asking and calling for no catch. You see Leroy Blue saying no catch. A net of 36 yards plus the penalty. Nichols again fires, and there he is, Darius Bowman. Great season last year, starting it off in style this year, and a lot of credit goes to Chris Jones.
I feel like he gave me that spark and that comfort from a coach's standpoint to go with those dreams and goals I had. When he called me up that offseason, and we kind of joked about, I'm glad we're not going against each other. But, you know, after playing against you all them years, you can be greater, Darius, but you're only going to be as good as you allow yourself. You know, and that really set in on me. He's a father figure to me.
Kendall Lawrence with his 2nd touchdown. All set up thanks to Kenny Stafford and a Darius Bowman. Chris Jones will like that. The well-traveled Kendall Lawrence. And the Eskimos have now put up 42.
This to me is the kind of play from Kendall Lawrence that's going to be so important for this Edmonton team. Without Mike Riley, without John White, in terms of being able to attack the outside, Kendall Lawrence from his slot position was the sort of the 3rd head in that 3-headed monster in the ground game last year. You see the Jordan Lynch package that Coach Paul LaPolice talked about at halftime, going to work here in close.
Jordan Lynch on the pitch to Lawrence. Again, the guy has been around out of college. Went to the NFL, was with Dallas with the Cowboys, scored a touchdown in the preseason, was cut, let go. Made his way north, made his way to Europe to play in Italy. And Grant Shaw struggling with these 32-yarders. That one just makes it again. It is 43-14. They're home for a month and a half. Played their first game in Fort McMurray against the Argos. So their home opener tonight has been highly, hugely successful in so many ways. Chalk Sanders looked like he was going down and then picked up a few extra yards. The Eskimos also, Dwayne, not only are opening a new season at home here tonight, but they've got brand new turf because of the Soccer World Cup. Kind of a parting gift from the FIFA. Commonwealth, I think when you used to play here, it was real grass. They changed it in 2010 to field turf system, and now it's a little bit different, more soccer related, but obviously the Eskimos are liking it tonight. Burris, and it's, boy, it was almost picked off, but Ernest Jackson has his first catch of the night.
Oh, that was tight. Otha Foster, the linebacker, had dropped into coverage on that one. Very nearly put his mitts on that ball.
Well, the Red Blacks have to score and score a lot here. Only in the third quarter, and second down, absolutely swallowed up.
Mondo Sewell just owned the inside of the line on that one.
Tackle for loss. He had 7 of those last year to go with his 9 sacks. His front 4: Sewell, Willis, Eddie Steele, the Canadian, and Marcus Howard. As good as any in the Canadian Football League.
Yeah, and the depth, when you look at it as well, Donner Amision, a former starter, coming back. He's in that D tackle rotation, and Willie Jefferson, who played a lot last year at DN.
This guy's had some nice returns tonight. Dawson doing some dancing here. Finally dropped at the 42-yard line. All Eskimos, the Matt Nichols show. Impressive so far here tonight. 43-14. Fallon Taylor, one of the best barrel racers. Now, this is a football broadcast tonight. You're probably wondering why we have Stampede highlights. Well, Fallon Taylor happens to be the wife of Ottawa's kicker, Delbert Alvarado. Here is Lee Jones.
Well, Fallon, you're here. You've had a chance to watch Delbert Alvarado play kick. He mentioned to us yesterday that he's more nervous watching you barrel race than him kick maybe a last-second field goal. How are you feeling watching him right now?
I can totally empathize with him now because I am sick to my stomach watching this. It's so exciting. It's so electric. And I have a lot of empathy for my husband now because this is really terrifying to just sit here.
You met him in 2010. He was a free agent with the Dallas Cowboys. Your uncle and his dad kind of introduced you to kind of show him around town. How did that work out?
It worked out fantastic. You know, he's originally from Honduras, a third world country, and he fit right in the rich life. So he helps me ride my horses every day, and I help him hold footballs when he practices. And even though we're still in a different country, we're enjoying each other doing our jobs.
Now you're at the Calgary Stampede. What's next for you?
Calgary Stampede is Sunday, so I'm hoping I'm holding that big check on Sunday at the end of the day. Then after that, I go back to the States for like another 40 rodeos.
Is Deborah going to get a chance to see you there on Sunday? Do you know yet?
He's not going to get a chance to see me. That's why we reunited here.
All right. Well, thanks for this, and good luck on Sunday.
Thank you very much.
Rod?
Thank you, Lee. Thank you, Fallon. And there is Delbert Alvarado, and you saw the sack. First for the Red Blacks tonight. Marlon Smith drops Matt Nichols.
Yeah, Marlon Smith working against the left side of that Edmonton Eskimo offensive line. He goes inside. The rookie Danny Grew at left guard, replacing the injured Greg White. Went the wrong way, and little mock somersault that I don't know if you really want to work in there when you're down by 29.
No, not when you're down that much. Let's go back to barrel racing as a couple of flags fall after. So, by the way, they have a 25-acre ranch.
Guys, everybody back home. Miss you.
In Dallas. They have 27 horses, and Fallon makes 12-hour trips to ride for 17 seconds.
Illegal interference blocking downfield before a pass is caught. Edmonton, number 81. Penalty will be declined. Results in third down.
But very similar high-pressure lifestyles.
Yeah, no question. You mentioned the long trip for a very short period of competition, much like Delbert Alvarado in terms of kicking the football, sort of a split second to get it right.
Bradshaw, 3rd and 15. Ottawa will get the football back. Short kick. Chris Williams spins right into an Eskimo. It's Ocho downfield once again. So Delbert Alvarado, happy to have his wife here. We asked him what has more pressure, kicking a field goal or watching his wife ride horses.
Watching her, 100%. Yeah, she's had a neck injury before in the past, and you know, sometimes the ground conditions and the weather be inclement, and you know, there's slips and falls on a 1,200-pound animal going 30 miles an hour, making a sharp turn could get dangerous. And I mean, I always want her to do well. And so, as the husband sitting in the stands and not having any control, just holding the camera and cheering her on, it's always tough for me.
Odell Willis with a knockdown. Alvarado going to get another opportunity to kick here tonight. So both Fallon and her husband also have butterflies when they're watching each other.
Blackie, the whole time I was watching those barrel racing highlights, I couldn't help thinking you'd look in one of those barrel racing outfits.
Or in one of those barrels. Danny O'Brien in the game. Oh, long toss for Chris Williams. Danny O'Brien back up, who had some playing time last year for the Ottawa REDBLACKS in their inaugural season. Out of Catawba College, comes in and almost had a quick strike long bomb with Williams.
Yeah, nice protection on that one as Williams got in behind Pat Watkins in coverage. Just needed a couple more inches on those arms.
Nothing really going right now for the REDBLACKS. Dawson is back at his 30-yard line. Nice high kick from Anthony Alix. Dawson wrapped up and ripped down. No time to check in with our Purolator sack tally, brought to you by Purolator. Tackling hunger, a promise we can all help deliver. And the Edmonton Eskimos just one behind the sack leaders early in the season, Hamilton and Ottawa.
And Edmonton in just their second game of the season as well here, so going at a pretty good pace.
Edmonton team that was second in the CFL to Saskatchewan last year. And an Ottawa team that was dead last, only 37 sacks the entire season. Look out here. Kendall Lawrence has some room to romp, and he does around the corner, and Javon Johnson chases him out of bounds. An 18-yard gain for Kendall Lawrence.
And I go back to that point about Kendall Lawrence in terms of the Edmonton Eskimos ground game. Lawrence, their third leading rusher last year. John White with 852, Mike Riley at 616. Kendall Lawrence chipped in with 413 yards. All three of them averaged over 6 yards a carry.
Lawrence in the backfield. Nichols. Pistol formation, dropped the football. Loose football, and Ottawa has recovered. With 2:03 to go in the third, and that one just slipped out of the grasp of Matt Nichols.
Tough break for the Edmonton quarterback here.
Abdul Kane provided the duress.
Yeah, we've seen that halfback blitz a couple of times from Kane. And he's the one that forces Nichols to pull that ball down, which led to the fumble.
Well, the REDBLACKS are going with backup, really third-string quarterback Danny O'Brien. Henry Burris watching on the sideline. Goes over the top for Walker. Reverses field. There goes Siobhan Walker, and Walker. Nice gain, one of the bigger plays for him. Jamaican-born Siobhan Walker. Also a big soccer player growing up. Spent 2 years in Hamilton, and of course the last 2 years with Ottawa. Broke his forearm last year. So here's Danny O'Brien at the helm.
We'll see whether Henry Burris is just out for a bit or whether his evening is done here. The REDBLACKS trailing by a wide margin.
Price. Just one defender and gets out at the first down marker, it looks like. Maybe a bit short, maybe 1 yard shy.
Just a quick hitter on the hitch screen.
And it will be second down here. 1 to go. Ryan gets the first down. REDBLACKS have only been in the red zone once tonight. have not scored a touchdown. Their only touchdown came via Zach Evans, the former star with the Regina Thunder. Many players who have forged their way into the CFL through junior football programs. Former Saskatchewan Rough Rider and Grey Cup champion Zach Evans. Interception return for a touchdown. That's it. Bryant to Williams. Patrick Watkins lays the lick.
Watkins able to slip under the block coming from the tackle. Colin Kelly on that one.
So O'Brien hanging in here, 2nd and 9. Final play, barring penalty, 3rd quarter. A game that has completely got away from the Ottawa REDBLACKS. O'Brien, little pump fake here. Now swinging it out to Mo Price. Nowhere to go here for Mo Price. Once again, 4 Eskimos converge, including J.C. Sherritt. One for the ages. They're going to need a bounce back next week. Danny O'Brien stays in and throws and knocked down. A turnover on downs. 3rd down there, and so Edmonton will take over. This clearly not the night the Ottawa REDBLACKS have enjoyed in their first 2 games.
And here they get Jock Sanders singled up. He's got solo coverage. Dexter McCoyle, the linebacker, working against him. Ball just a little bit underthrown. You see at the end, Sanders has trouble handling it as well.
So I was just going to ask you, is there a time when Matt Nichols gets the hook here in a lopsided game? And guess what? Chris Jones goes to James Franklin. What a fascinating story James Franklin is. He hands it off to Kendall Lawrence and then provides some blocking. Look at this. What a run from Kendall Lawrence. No way. He's still on his feet. Kendall Lawrence, couple of touchdowns and an exciting run on the handoff from James Franklin.
A couple former Missouri Tigers going to work here. Franklin, the quarterback, Lawrence, the running back. Franklin on this one goes from quarterback to fullback as he gets out front looking to make a block. Kendall Lawrence, who's so good in the open field. Had an impact last year, not just as a slot back, but also as a return man for these Eskimos.
Franklin, and that snap way over his head. Here comes Kane, and he has it. High snap way over the head. That one is on Justin Sorensen to score at will. Matt Nichols has been the beneficiary. O'Brien hanging in now. Could take it if he wants. Steps back, now he's in trouble. Drops the football and wisely batted out of bounds by Ernest Jackson.
Yeah, great heads-up play by Jackson to understand the rules and know that he doesn't need to recover that. He just needs to be the last one to touch it before it goes out of bounds. Instead of battling with it, he just swats it here.
Dexter McCoyle, the pursuer.
And that's where you see Danny O'Brien, the young quarterback, needs to make a decision earlier as to whether he's going to tuck that one and go, whether he's going to try and throw it away. Indecision, nearly very costly there.
Long night for that red-black sideline. 3-man rush. O'Brien stands in, delivers. Maurice Price going backwards where Aaron Grimes brings him down.
You can just see Edmonton defensively understanding score situation. They're just sitting back in that sort of down and distance, forcing Ottawa to throw the ball in front of them and then come up and make a play. They weren't even really covering some of the underneath stuff. Siobhan Walker was wide open in the flat, but they're going to let them have a 5-yard completion because they know they can stop them before they pick up another 10.
Alvarado again. 31-yard field goal attempt. Husband of Fallon Taylor puts it through.
31-yard field goal attempt is good.
Well, one of the few cheerleaders tonight have something to cheer about for Ottawa. CFL Fantasy Football is in full swing. Oh, baby, for the 2015 season. Go to tsn.ca/CFL Fantasy to set your roster for a chance to win a trip to the Grey Cup in Winnipeg and a Joseph Abboud suit from Moores. Every pick counts. Make yours today. If you're going to bring a baby to a game, that's a wise move. Look at that. I think of me listening. Well, the Ottawa REDBLACKS force another turnover but can't get a touchdown. James Franklin, former Missouri Tiger, connects with the Darius Bowman. Oh, what a straight arm there on Jarrell Gavins. We had a fascinating conversation with the Darius Bowman yesterday. Well, we didn't really talk. He just did all the talking. But he is.
Wind him up and let him go.
He is an interesting cat, is he not?
Well, you know, one of the great things to me about Darius Bowman has been when you follow his career arc. I mean, Darius Bowman early in his career, basically Saskatchewan, Winnipeg, those teams gave up on him. You might suggest that Darius Bowman could be a bit of the reason why Paul LaPolice, as a coach, has no hair on his head. He pulled it all out, trying to get the most out of this guy. But finally here in Edmonton, he seems to have realized that just how much of an impact player he can be in the Canadian Football League. And you heard the quote earlier as he said Chris Jones told him, it's all up to you to determine how good you want to be. Well, last year under Chris Jones, and a lot of history between these two guys, Chris Jones turned Darius Bowman into one of the most dominant receivers in the league.
He did. He said, son, you are as good as you allow yourself to be. And Darius Bowman took those words to heart. They have a history that goes back 15 years, back to middle school, as a matter of fact, when Darius Bowman was a basketball player for Notre Dame High School in Chattanooga, Tennessee. They were playing against South Pittsburgh, where Chris Jones hails from and was coaching, and he used to chirp and trash talk Darius Bowman.
Well, Darius Bowman says Chris Jones would be over on the sidelines hollering at his team, imploring them, stop that guy, he's so sorry. He's terrible, he's sorry. Darius said, I had 30 points. They didn't have anybody who could stop me, and he was still talking trash.
Darius then ended up playing football later. North Carolina, then Oklahoma State. Again, a career that's been riddled really by injury as well, but what a great comeback story of Darius Bowman, particularly with what he did last year.
Yeah, and going back to that maturity piece is understanding, I think some of those injuries caused him to reflect a little bit and not take for granted his talent and the opportunity to play football. And since coming back, that work ethic has improved as he's really strived to make the most of that God-given ability.
Thought he'd never play again. Middle of some of those injuries, here he is, not only playing, but big playing. Now James Franklin was a big playmaker. Franklin, guy who was an MVP in the Independence Bowl with Missouri, won the Cotton Bowl in 2014. A guy who's been working out a lot, playing with Lawrence, of course, in Missouri. Also, Michael Sam was there at Mizzou with him and ended up with the Detroit Lions. Did not get any playing time, was cut. So you know what he did? He emailed almost every CFL personnel director and said, hey, I'm available. Are you the James Franklin that won the Cotton Bowl? Here he is in Edmonton.
Eskimos thrilled to have him, one of the pleasant revelations of training camp for them.
Oh, flying hit there from Kane, but Kendall Lawrence, the former teammate of Franklin. So right now, a lot of Mizzou going on for the Edmonton Eskimos. The double E driving the football again.
Kendall Lawrence carrying the load here from the backfield. We saw Chad Simpson head to the locker room a little bit early before the half, leading to a shuffle in the offense.
Speaking of shuffles, how about that one? Jarrell Gavins is injured. We'll step aside and come back as Thursday night football continues from Edmonton. Everything going their way. James Franklin in quarterback and relief of Matt Nichols, who was sensational. As he gets the start in place of Mike Riley. So So 2nd down and 10 now with over 8 minutes to go here in the 4th, and the Eskimos just riding it out, putting up the sails.
Franklin takes a pretty good shot there from second-year man Antoine Pruneau. And Franklin more than equipped for that as he goes about 2 1/4, 6'2" quarterback.
Only 23, is going to be 24 late in July. Here's the rush again. Franklin now sidesteps and rolls on that back foot, throws it to the far side. Nate Kuhorn makes the catch, but that will bring out Grant Shaw in the field goal unit.
Right here I'm going to show you something that in his illustrious career Jock Climby never did. Watch on the left side of the offense. You're going to see Corey Watson come in and block somebody. Terrific block. Watson already with a reputation as one of the toughest.
Jock never blocked?
Jock never blocked. I don't think Milt ever blocked either, for that matter. But
they're celebrating touchdowns, that's why. You may have just started something like that.
If either one of them can come up with the video evidence to prove me wrong on that one.
They're scouring right now. Grant Shaw puts this through. And this is now the highest scoring Edmonton game for the Eskimos since 2000.
Regiment number, so a special little touch there as they mark how sad they felt of that incident that happened last month, June 8th. Now you can also do donations. The Eskimos are urging people. You can follow the link, and basically they will pass those funds on to the family as well. This is important to players like Armando Sewell of the Edmonton Eskimos, who's already admitted that after he's done playing football, he wants to stay in Edmonton and work for the Edmonton Police Service. So once again, the link there to donate any money to the family of Constable Daniel Woodall.
Thank you so much, Lee. And
number 47, 10-yard penalty.
Condolences and sentiments to the Woodall family and, of course, the entire law enforcement community. Constable Woodall was shot and killed serving a warrant in the line of duty in June. So, very emotional start to this ball game for that family. Midway through the 4th as time ticks down here. Chris Williams.
Well, this is the stage of the game where a little bit for the Ottawa REDBLACKS, you don't want to show too much, because you're in a situation, you're playing this same team. You've got the home-and-home series. You're going to see Edmonton again, so maybe a few of those wrinkles that you may have practiced during the week, put them away and keep them for next time out.
And that's why number 1 is on the sideline, I would imagine. Keeping him, getting him ready for next week as well. TD Place Stadium, Friday night football. This is up for grabs, almost picked off. And I know this score is not flattering at all to the Ottawa REDBLACKS, and considering their great start at 2-0. But a lot of this has to do with what you're watching right here. This defense absolutely shut down the REDBLACKS right from the start.
Yeah, a fierce group, and you heard the guys talk about it at halftime. Chris Jones had these guys absolutely fired up to play in this ball game, ready for Henry Burris. Not a lot of coaches know Henry Burris and his tendencies better than Chris Jones, as the two of them spent some time in Calgary together.
Sky Dawson trying to pick his way forward. Jacques Washington. Special teams tackle. Well, Chris Jones, this is what he has done since he came to Edmonton.
Yeah, there's the impact. As he arrived in 2014, you see the improvement in each of those categories in a year. And one of the big themes that Chris Jones brought to these Edmonton Eskimos was accountability. Guys taking pride in doing their jobs, really improving that sense of responsibility. Unrelenting in his demands of his players.
Well, that word has been the Eskimos tonight, unrelenting. They have not stopped. Now Franklin wants to carry it himself. He's going nowhere, though. And it's the only touchdown scorer for Ottawa with the sack, Zach Evans. You know, when we were watching Zach Evans, and there's an injury on the play. Watch Zach Evans earlier when he was rumbling for that touchdown. That's going to be on the highlights, I'm sure, everywhere. Keep in mind, this is a guy who can dance. He's a Ukrainian dancer.
This is true. Zach's got the feet. No, we joked about Zach Evans taking a while to get down there, but he moved pretty well for a big guy. This is a guy for whom there have always been high hopes. I know the Saskatchewan Roughriders were very high on him, and a big part of the reason why, really the only reason why they let him go in the expansion draft, was a change in the ratio, the way they were going to deploy the ratio and play Americans at defensive tackle. So he and Keith Sholigan both moved on to Ottawa. He's getting a chance to play a great deal here this evening. He's looked good. We saw him sniff out a screen earlier in the game before he came up with that interception.
Out of O'Neill High School in Regina, played with the Rams and Regina junior team. Thunder. 3 sacks last year. He was the Prairie Conference Defensive Player of the Year. And David Hines limps off. We talk so much about the colleges and university, but there is another path for a lot of players out there, and that's through the junior ranks. More than ever have we ever seen a lot of junior football players just not come up and be special team players, though, be major contributors.
Yeah, absolutely. Once given the opportunity, develop just like any other good young Canadian talent.
Franklin, dangerous toss for Corey Watson. He has a touchdown tonight. Earlier received from Matt Nichols. Matt Nichols can relish this one, get ready for next week as well in Ottawa. One of the words that Chris Jones, one of the sentences, words of encouragement he had for Matt Nichols was say, don't be like Mike, just be Matt.
Matt Nichols doing a pretty good job of that this evening.
Shaw will boot it back. Chris Williams. No yards, and that will be unnecessary roughness, and now they're getting into it. Dion Lacey and Chris Williams, and now everybody's getting involved here. Chris Williams took exception, and he should have. Dion Lacey absolutely threw him to the ground. So there likely are going to be a couple of penalties here. Here comes another flag on the other side, some objectionable conduct. It was initially no yards, which would have been a 15-yard penalty. And then Lacey came in and hurled Chris Williams to the turf.
I'm actually surprised at how quickly that scuffle was broken up in front of the Ottawa bench, because I worried that that one was about to get real ugly. With a whole lot of Ottawa players right there.
You got to give Chris Williams badge of honor there. You better hang on. He is not a big guy. Fortunately, cooler heads prevailed here. Williams has a chuckle.
A little out of his weight class on that one.
Leave it to Al Bradbury to figure all of this out.
No yards, 15-yard penalty. Edmonton, number 45. Major foul, unnecessary roughness. Edmonton, number 46. Objectionable conduct. Edmonton, number 46. These penalties will accumulate to 40 yards. First down.
And that is Dexter McCoyle, number 45, who picked up a parade of penalties there.
Well, McCoyle picked up the last one.
Indeed.
But two of those penalties on Lacey. Objectionable conduct and unnecessary roughness.
Look at this, they're marching it all the way inside the 20-yard line.
Evening out those penalties that have been heavily in Edmonton's favor throughout this ball game.
They just got a lot closer in one play. I'll tell you what, the Ottawa REDBLACKS have to shore up some discipline in the days leading up, a week from now, from tomorrow, next week, Friday in Ottawa, when round 2 between these two teams begins. And knocked down. Thomas Thomas DeMarco at quarterback now. Otha Foster swarms in.
Well, Foster just exploded off the edge here like a sprinter. He's the unblocked guy on the front side of this play. But he just came full tilt, unblocked. Timed it up perfectly. You see him trying to time up the snap, and he's got it. DeMarco never had a chance.
DeMarco, the former BC Lion, played with Mike Riley and Travis Lulay there at Old Dominion. Numbers from last year, spare time, got hurt. Now he throws, end zone. Patrick Watkins with the easiest interception he'll ever have.
Thomas DeMarco, I believe the receiver over there is Chris Williams, and the two of them clearly read this very differently. As Chris Williams is thinking break it off, Thomas DeMarco is thinking keep it going. And the only guy that benefits from that miscommunication is Pat Watkins. One of those situations where you're getting a pre-snap read based on the depth of the defensive back. Non-verbal communication there between quarterback and receiver, and now you've got a backup quarterback in the game where with Chris Williams, Henry Burris might have seen that one way. Thomas DeMarco saw it a little differently.
That's Pat Watkins' first interception in 2 seasons. Did not have a pick last year. That was gift wrap from Thomas DeMarco. So closing down to the 3-minute warning. Some garbage time here now for the Eskimos and the Red Blacks as they will play it out and get ready for next week. The rematch. A lot of back-to-backs, as a matter of fact. Ottawa is going to have to be a whole lot better than they were tonight. Franklin with time. Here comes Zach Evans. Franklin will throw it out of bounds. 3-minute warning here on Thursday Night Football in Edmonton. The Eskimos 3 minutes away from their first win of 2015. And certainly a question mark, I'm sure, for him. He hasn't been in that position for a while. Came into this game 0-5 as a starter in the Canadian Football League. Chris Williams. Is Dion Lacey down there? He is buried. And there he is, the guy that he used to back up. Now Mike Riley with that brace on. There are the numbers. Long time coming for Matt Nichols. First win in 5.5 years.
Yeah, last one came November 21st, 2009. As a member of the Eastern Washington Eagles. He had been 0-5 as a starter in the Canadian Football League. Again, he looks at this as his longest stint, basically, of this being his team, knowing from week to week for a little while here that he's going to be the Edmonton Eskimos starting quarterback. And what a way to kick it off for Mr. Nichols.
Siobhan Walker. Time ticks down to 2 minutes. Matt told us yesterday that, you know, Mike Riley has been a real great presence for him as he helped Mike Riley out as well. And that's what quarterbacks and backup quarterbacks do. I mean, it's such a cruel business. As Mike told us earlier today, said, hey, Matt, I am coming back down the road. Make sure you keep this car safe. Like, you know, don't go messing this car up and leave, you know, leave the fuel tank, the gas gauge at full. Don't leave it empty.
That's it. I want the tank filled up. I want it cleaned and polished. Keep the upholstery clean when I come back to claim my keys to this car.
Here's the other thing, though. In this game, Matt Nichols is saying, hey, take the car back from me. That's the way it works. And these guys, such good friends. They've been working. Matt went to Mike's house the other night, home, and they studied game film. They studied the playbook. They talked about what they had to do in this game here tonight. Says a lot about these two. Guys who forged their career in the state of Washington. And how about the pipeline out of Eastern Washington? All of the great quarterbacks have come out of there.
Yeah, fantastic run of quarterbacks out of that school. Obviously, Matt Nichols a part of that. Eric Meyer before him, who was a Walter Payton Award winner. Bo Levi Mitchell, of course, of the Calgary Stampeders, another Payton Award winner.
Anthony Aleeks with 90 seconds to go here. And we'll get ready for next week in the nation's capital. The two teams will tangle again. again. And there is another penalty, and that's another roughing call downfield. As they're flying at each other now. Tomorrow night, Wendy's Friday Night Football. Alouettes, Rakeem Cato, and the Blue Bombers. Willie apparently
during the
ready
return,
to go.
Illegal block.
Followed by
Edmonton,
Saskatchewan and BC.
The goal. First down.
Lions looking to bounce back after a loss last week in Ottawa.
So disappointing to see Ryan Smith go on the injured list for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. After the second-year man got off to such a terrific start, leading the Canadian Football League in receiving. And highlights.
Yeah, great highlights. So many subplots early to the season. Offense has been up. The rule changes have meant more offense, more points. Certainly Edmonton tonight can attest to that. Keep it on the ground here. But the story also in the early season have been the devastating injuries to some key star players, particularly quarterbacks.
Yeah, but you look at some of those injuries and the opportunities that it's opened for other stars to potentially emerge. And we see Matt Nichols having some success here tonight. Obviously a great debut, much talked about by Rakeem Cato last week for the Montreal Alouettes. Even an injury going back to last season in Toronto with Ricky Ray, where no one's been hotter than Trevor Harris under center for the Toronto Argonauts.
They bring the house and they give it off to Kendall Lawrence. Lawrence has had a big night. If it wasn't for Matt Nichols, I'll tell you what, Kendall Lawrence could be player of the game.
Yeah, no question, one of the more versatile players in the Canadian Football League. Pressed into duty in that backfield after Chad Simpson came out. Caught that touchdown pass earlier in the game when he was still playing slot. He gives a unique dimension to the Eskimo offense.
Over 100 yards offense from Kendall Lawrence. Team touches and a pair of touchdowns. Final 37. Carry the rock again here.
And out goes the 32, Lawrence.
It's been a long time since Ottawa has won in Edmonton. Red Blacks, before them the Renegades and then the Rough Riders. The last time Ottawa's won here in Alberta, in Edmonton, back in 1983. J.C. Watts and Warren Moon were the quarterbacks. So under several different incarnations, this Red Black team 2015 will not get a win here as well. Lawrence will duck down. Well, big picture here, obviously the Ottawa Red Blacks need a big boomerang next week.
Yeah, no longer the undefeated Ottawa Red Blacks, but nonetheless a chance to regroup for this team and get right back to work against the Edmonton Eskimos next week. They can't let this one send them into any sort of a tailspin. So a real positive two-game start for this team, and maybe a little bit of a wake-up call, a reminder that victory is only the result of a whole lot of hard work. You can't have any kind of letdown.
Well, Matt Nichols' opportunity was knocking. He knocked it out of the park.